Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, podcast where you choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts. Because this is the internet, that's how it works now. I'm Cecil, and I'll be marshaling this motley crew of soldiers. So here they are: Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. Heath, Eli, Noah, and Tom.
I like that I'm the highest.
Yeah, and I'm just glad that no one gave Noah the Space Force. We would never get that.
Patrons, you are a
tall that you can be.
So there it is. Patrons, you are a giant raft we have strapped ourselves to. That will make more sense later. Patrons also get an opening sketch, and this week we learned yet another of Tom's alarm clocks. So you should get in on that. If you want to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around till the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Eli, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event we'll be talking about today.
Well, Cecil, we'll be talking about the Battle of the Red Cliffs.
So, Noah, why did you pick this topic?
Well, to be honest, I was a little upset that Eli did a video game history episode last week, with that kind of being my area of expertise.
Right, sure.
So I decided I was going to do an essay on one of his areas of expertise. But try as I might, I couldn't make taking a long shit or making pigeon noises into a full-length essay.
That's fair.
So I went with a disastrous military campaign instead.
Yes, but like so many seeking to hurt me, Noah, your arrow strikes the heart of Cecil.
Was it really?
So what was the Battle of Red Cliffs?
It was a disastrous military campaign. Specifically, it was the defeat that kept Chinese unification from taking place in the early 3rd century and led to the notorious Three Kingdoms period of factional warfare.
Lu Bu, motherfucker!
Yes.
Sorry, I played every iteration of Dynasty Warriors in the last 25 years. It's literally the same game every time,
right,
and I do not care. I don't care.
Yeah. Cecil's the one, everybody. We found it. We found
there
the person.
There are dozens of us. Dozens.
All right, so we need to start with the Han Dynasty here, because I feel like for most Americans, it gets lost in the list of great ancient empires. But we're talking about an empire of 60 million people at its height that covered almost 9% of the world's land. That's about as many people as the Roman Empire at its height and more than twice as much land area. It lasted for over 400 years and covered pretty much all the parts of modern China that aren't barren desert. But by the early 3rd century CE, it was starting to fall apart.
At first, Noah, I was trying to decide if this was a failure of our educational system or if it was just typical Western European-centric educational racism. And then I tried to think of any other great ancient empires that weren't Rome. So then I thought, well, why not both?
Yes, was the answer, yeah.
Couldn't even come up with the Etruscans. Damn it.
I said a great empire.
Now,
not excellent pottery makers
too
or
far.
whatever.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that desk arrow anymore.
Yeah, right? No, the cause of the Han Dynasty's fall is as much debated and speculated on as the fall of the Roman Empire. But one of the main causes, or symptoms, depending on who you ask,
fluoride and lead in the water.
What? Haven't heard that one yet, but I'm sure it's out there. No, I was going to say the emperor's court of eunuchs and the way they started to abuse their powers and seize ever more control of the government. 12 of the most powerful eunuchs were known bafflingly as the 10 attendants. And
okay.
I'm really pretending to expertise in here. I don't understand so much of this story. They were notoriously corrupt, though. And then they were blamed when a series of natural disasters and poor harvests stacked up. And that led to a peasant uprising called either the Yellow Turban Rebellion or the Yellow Scarves Rebellion.
Just a swath of earthquake wreckage and a "I did that" Joe Biden sticker on it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Are the two names because of a mistranslation or because of an outfit malfunction? Because I'm picturing a retreating army repainting their sign. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the whole thing came as a shock to everyone because no one thought those guys would have the balls to cause any trouble.
So, now, ultimately, the Yellow Turban
the
Rebellion...
eunuchs. Thank you, Heath. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, ultimately, the Yellow Turban Rebellion was put down, but it took 20 years. And to do it, the emperor had to turn a lot of power over to regional warlords. So by the end of the rebellion, he was emperor in name only, and the various regional warlords were the ones really running the show. And it was also during that rebellion that the two main combatants of the Battle of the Red Cliffs would come to prominence. One was a general named Cao Cao. You'll occasionally hear it pronounced Cao Cao or Cao Cao. but I'm going to call it Cao Cao because that's the cutest of the translations that I found. And another named Liu Bei, both of whom would go on to be among those regional warlords.
Okay, if Liu Bei doesn't end up having a real life sky scorcher, I object to this entire essay.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
not.
See, Heath gets it.
I do, Cecil. I do. Cheers.
Cheers, Heath.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Now, so this is reality. So there are good guys and bad guys. Or I'm sorry, there aren't good guys anyway. But the way this battle is pretty much always presented is that Liu Bei is the good guy and Cao Cao is the bad guy. And part of that, no doubt, is because Liu Bei won, but Cao Cao was also the aggressor, and he came from a very privileged background, while Liu Bei came from, kind of brought himself up from nothing. So Liu Bei is just the easier guy to root for as well.
Oh, yeah. Easier guy to. When trying to understand the ethical positions behind the players in complicated geopolitical events, we do have to ask ourselves, which side is most like the plot of Cool Runnings?
Cool.
That's
Thank
the
you.
shorthand, exactly.
Thank
you
you,
know.
Tom. Dozens of us.
Yeah. So at first, there are 8 of these regional warlords, but as soon as the Peasants' Rebellion is put down, and in some instances before it was all the way put down, the warlords turn on each other because they're warlords. It's right there in the fucking job description, and nobody is warlording quite as warlordly as Cao Cao.
Okay. Do you think warlords call themselves warlords? Do they know?
Probably not.
It feels like for people that's not very self-aware, but I'd like to think they get there once in a while. You know, they're doing it and just like, guys, time out. Are we fucking warlords right now? That's bad, right?
Now, like I said, this dude is generally portrayed as the bad guy in the conflict, and that's because he's a really bad guy. But he also had a sensitive side. He was, for example, a very influential poet. He was also really into falconry. He liked long walks on the beach. He was also a brilliant administrator and a gifted military tactician most of the time. There's one notable example, and it's the one this essay's about, but mostly he was an encyclopedia of military tactics. I fucking actually wrote an encyclopedia of military tactics. He also wrote one of the first known commentaries on Sun Tzu's Art of War. He was also, and far be it from me to make fun of another language, but he was also, for at least part of his career, the administrator of the Dong Commandery.
Okay. I know this isn't what I should be joking about right now, but I feel like falconry is your falcon's hobby, not yours, right? If it's not his hobby, why the fuck does he keep coming back, right?
Yeah. Well, it feels like a kink, right? Like on both sides of that relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, yeah. That fucking glove. I gotta touch the
Put
glove.
the mask on me. Put the mask on me.
Exactly. Thank you. Right? Very sexual.
And then we're just going to let Dong Commandery dangle there, huh?
Yeah.
Apparently,
I just-
yes.
I got
Thank
caught
you,
up
No one
in the
jumped on
falcon
it.
thing.
No one jumped on the Dong Commander.
Noah said dong, and we just let that go for a second. That was
like-
crazy.
Yeah.
It was
Thank
fucking
you.
nuts.
Insane.
All right. So speaking of the Dong Commandery, we should probably acknowledge that Cao Cao was also a notorious cad. A well-known story has him infiltrating a wedding, molesting the bride, and then avoiding getting in trouble for it by blaming it on a friend of his. By the end of his life, he would father no fewer than 32 legitimate children. And the fact that every source qualifies children with legitimate makes it clear that's a lowball number, right? Now, of course, if you asked Cao Cao, he would tell you he wasn't a warlord. He would tell you, like all the other warlords were, that he was actually a loyal subject of the emperor that was just trying to bend all these other rogue warlords to the emperor's will. And he actually had more legitimacy when it came to that claim than many of his rivals, because he was one of the warlords who hadn't literally kidnapped the emperor.
What?
Yeah, at least 2 of the other warlords did exactly that at various points in this period.
Okay. Sounds like they didn't do it very well. Like they didn't really understand kidnapping. And now they're minor characters on Citation Needed, which is not going to work out.
You never want to be that. Well, so no, they kidnapped him well, but other people would like kidnap him from his kidnappers. Speaking of which, the extent to which Cao Cao didn't kidnap the emperor is actually quite debatable, because once Cao Cao freed him from the warlord that had most recently kidnapped him, the emperor more or less just stayed with Cao Cao forever and always decreed whatever the fuck Cao Cao told him to decree. So his enemies would probably tell you the emperor had been kidnapped by Cao Cao, and the emperor would probably just tell you he picked the best guy to be kidnapped by and stuck with that one. with his probably dubious claim to imperial legitimacy, Cao Cao set about consolidating as much power as he could, or as he would tell you, reunifying China for the emperor. He first made an alliance with a rival named Yuan Shao. Then he took out a few smaller warlords with him and then turned against Yuan Shao once there was nobody left for him to ally with.
Just using Sun Tzu buzzwords the whole time. The fucking worst.
Offering everyone Bitcoin.
All right, yeah, exactly. So the decisive victory against Yuan Shao came in 200 CE in Guangzhou. And after that, Cao Cao had control over the entirety of northern China. Now, at that point, he recommended to the emperor that he be made chancellor, which would effectively give him control of the entire imperial government. And the emperor told him whatever the fuck he wanted to be told, which in this case was yes.
Hey, man, we can see the emperor didn't actually say anything and you just made your voice a little higher when you answered for him. Okay?
No, I didn't. I mean, no, I didn't. I did not do that. What? Fuck, that didn't make any sense.
Now, of course, the rest of China isn't standing still while all of this is going on. Down south, the various states had coalesced into two main regions under the control of the aforementioned Liu Bei and a guy named Sun Quan. Now, at one point, Liu Bei had actually infiltrated the north on a mission to take out Cao Cao and return the emperor to his throne / kidnap him differently. But that was unsuccessful, and if anything, it just solidified Cao Cao's resolve to head south and take over the rest of China.
Comes in the morning, finds that someone ate all the corner pieces of the emperor. Oh, come on!
Yeah, right. So, to take southern China, Cao Cao knew he was going to have to take the Yangtze River. This is the second of the two great rivers that run through China. The other is the Yellow River. That one he already controls. That's in the north. But if you want to control southern China, you need to control commerce and you need to be able to communicate over this vast area. And if you want to do that, you have to control the Yangtze. And conveniently for Cao Cao, at around the same time that he's consolidating power in the north, the warlord that controls the key ocean ports of the Yangtze dies and leaves a power vacuum for him to expand into. Now, at the same time, Liu Bei, who controls the land south of this power vacuum, he obviously also would like to move in and take over. And I've said a lot about Cao Cao, so I guess I should probably introduce this dude as well. Liu Bei was tall.
Nice.
Yeah. He probably had other qualities that I'm sure he'd have preferred I'd led with, but mostly he's remembered for being tall. Also, I love this so much. Also for having ears so big that he could purportedly see them out of the corners of his eyes.
Jesus Christ.
Everyone listening to this is trying to see their ears out of the corner of their eyes right now. We caused
Right?
9 car accidents with your line just now. No.
Okay.
Everyone,
Yeah,
we all did it.
I actually
We
did
all
that.
read that
I
sentence.
I tried just now turning my head real quick. Turns out that doesn't help.
We all did it the first time we read that sentence, and a bunch of people drive while listening to this.
No, okay. So Sun Quan, the warlord who controls the western Yangtze, he would also like the eastern half, so he's also pushing in to take control of the area, as is Liu Bei. But Cao Cao gets there firstest with the mostest, and he sends both of his rivals into a hasty retreat, none hastier than Liu Bei, who's hauling ass southward, surrounded by refugees and being pursued by Cao Cao's elite cavalry. Eventually, his forces are surrounded and defeated at the Battle of Changban, but he escapes to the south with nothing but his life and a thirst for vengeance.
Okay. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to see if Liu Bei actually does have a very particular set of skills he acquired over a very long career, skills that make him a nightmare for people like Cao Cao.
Now, I must warn you, Lord Cao Cao, Liu Bei is known for his mastery of the art of war.
I am well aware of the danger my opponent poses. Do not worry. I shall not let him inside my mind.
Excellent, my lord.
Lord Liu Bei,
Lord Cao Cao,
may I introduce my minister?
a pleasure. This is my minister.
Greetings.
Now listen, my army outnumbers yours 10 to 1. If you... What are you doing?
What? I wasn't doing anything.
Yes, you were. You were going, meh, 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 meh. Well, I was talking.
What? No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
Lord Cao Cao, I am a general of his emperor's army, here to save China. I do not have time for your childish game.
No, you were the one doing childish games. Look, you're doing it right now.
What are you talking about?
You know what? Never mind. Get all the horses. We're just going to run down here and kill this guy.
But my lord, the river.
No, he did the meh thing while I was talking. Let's go.
Man, you do that like every time.
And it always works.
Yep, it always works every time.
I can't believe you guys are celebrating my birthday this early. Very excited.
Yeah, we wanted to get it out of the way. I mean, we love you, man. Go on, get opening the stuff.
All right, cool. So this one's from Eli. Thank you.
Yeah.
In advance. It's socks.
Yeah, socks. I hope you like them.
Yeah, sure. Who doesn't like socks? All right, next up, we got one from Tom. Let's check this one out. Okay. It is. It's also socks.
We really should have checked with each other before we did this, guys.
Guys, if you're looking to shop great for the folks in your life, why don't you try Bespoke Post?
What's Bespoke Post?
This spring, the best box you'll open all month is from Bespoke Post and their new seasonal lineup of must-have Box of Awesome collections. The Box of Awesome is filled with carefully chosen gear from the best small brands around the world.
Yeah, hey, that's true. Bespoke Post sent us a sample to try, and I got this awesome, camping style fanny pack hiking thing. It's terrific.
And I got a hammock and a travel blanket.
I got a flask that you could make an old fashioned in and then carry it with you where you go.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. That's because whether you want to drink and eat more awesome, dress and travel more awesome, or explore more awesome, Box of Awesome has you covered this spring.
All right, Heath, we're sold. Where do we sign up?
To get started, take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right Box of Awesome for you. It's free to join, and they release new items every month across a ton of different categories. When you become a member, you'll have access to stellar discounts across a plethora of products. We're talking 30% off or more sometimes. Plus, with each Box of Awesome, you're supporting a small business. 90% of everything that comes in your Box of Awesome is from a small, up-and-coming brand. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Get a free mystery gift with your first monthly shipment when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code CITATION at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code CITATION, for a free mystery gift with your first monthly shipment. boxofawesome.com, code CITATION.
All right, well, I guess we'll try Box of Awesome next time.
Why did you get me socks too?
No, it's just a few years ago you were saying how much you wish more people could see your dad's art. So I called a bunch of museums near you and talked to your mom, and they're going to do a mini exhibition about your dad this year.
Oh. So, Box of Awesome is like $35.
Got it.
Hey, podcast listener. Now that we're being sponsored by the folks over at Factor, we thought we'd put our very own chef de cuisine, Cecil Something Italian, up against their food to say who can make it better.
That's right, Noah.
So what do you have planned for us, Cecil?
Well, I'm going to make a sauteed turkey breast with a white wine and shallot reduction with palm puree.
And can you do that in 2 minutes?
Wait, what?
That's right. Every fresh, never frozen meal from Factor is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm going to need more than 2 minutes.
Choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Also, discover more than 60 add-ons every week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled and feel good all day long.
Okay, but have you actually tried any of that stuff?
We sure have. I was actually a Factor customer even before they became a sponsor. I love that I can stop and start deliveries on my schedule and even send meals ahead when I'm on vacation. That's why I, Heath Enright, personally endorse Factor.
I mean, it does sound good.
It is good. Head to factormeals.com/citation50 and use the code citation50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box. That's code citation50 at factormeals.com/citation50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next box while subscription is active.
All right, well, guess you win, Factor. So much for my turkey.
Did someone say turkey?
You have to stop, man. You have to stop.
You have to stop.
When we left off, 3 different factions of insurrectionists were about to go head to head. Can you tell us how they were all actually Antifa, Noah?
All right, so Liu Bei he's defeated, he's demoralized, he's lost his army, and yes, he can re-raise troops, but you can't re-raise veterans. And even before the rout, he couldn't put as many men in the field as Cao Cao could, so in addition to more troops, Liu Bei also needs an ally. And given Cao Cao's ruthless consolidation of the north, that leaves him with really only one option, Sun Quan. So he sends his best emissary, Zhuge Liang, to Sun Quan in hopes of striking up an alliance.
Hey, Sun Quan, you ever see Thelma and Louise? Such a great ending. Am I right? Oh.
Now, of course, Cao Cao predicts Liu Bei's move here, and he sends his own emissary. After all, Liu Bei is the stronger of the two opponents, so the divide and conquer strategy that won him so much in the north demands that he offer an alliance with the weaker of his two enemies. And Cao Cao has the luxury of not being in full military retreat at the time that he's enacting his plans, so his guy gets to Sun Quan first.
Dude, you got to stop saying synergy is winergy. You're the fucking worst.
Okay, well, forgive me for wanting to optimize our focal strategy to leverage key performance indicators across our brand. All right? Hey, with an attitude like this, you're never going to be ready
That's
for the
you.
Warlord IPO meeting. Never.
All right,
Moving your cheese right now.
All right, so Cao Cao's emissary presents his offer. Don't ally with Liu Bei, send a token force of troops along with me, and I'll leave you alone afterwards. Super best friend promise. And apparently, they know that Liu Bei has an emissary on his way at this point. I don't know how. Maybe his emissary has like his own smaller, faster emissary. I don't know. Anyway, what follows is this legendary council where Sun Quan asks all his advisors what he should do. And to a man, they all say, oh yeah, no, you should totally ally with Cao Cao and do what he says. But then Sun Quan goes to take a shit, and one of the guys follows him, which is creepy. But it's just this how the story goes.
The fact that this is written down somewhere is creepy.
Right? So once he gets him away from the rest of the advisors, he says, look, all those guys are telling you what's best for them. If Cao Cao comes in here and deposes you, they still get to be assistant to the regional manager of whatever the fuck they are now. You, on the other hand, will be dead as all fuck.
Yeah, and here's a bit more toilet paper. You missed a spot, just so I can see it.
Also, eye contact or no eye contact? I'm an eye contact guy, so I'm going to start with that as a default. Are we not?
I'll see your eye
We're
contact
not.
and raise you holding hands.
Yeah,
Jesus
there we go.
Christ.
There we go.
Okay, let's
So-
do this then.
Oh.
I want this.
It's like you're on a
Cheers.
roller coaster together. It's amazing.
All right, so based on that advice, Sun Quan decides to at least wait around and hear Liang out. So he gets there a couple days later, and he's like, hey, you guys should join us, and then we can push this northern invader out of our lands. And Sun Quan's like, well, right, but he's got the bigger army. And Liang is like, well, but we could put our armies together. And Quan's like, he would still have a bigger army. And Liang's like, right, but Liu Bei is such a better military commander than you that he would get so much more out of your army than you get, which surprisingly doesn't go over super well with Sun Quan.
Yeah, it's like a more polite version of when people have tried to start an atheist podcast network. I get it.
All right, if we take a bunch of smaller shows with niche overlapping audiences, we can combine them into one big space with the same niche overlapping audience.
Yeah.
It can't not fail.
Right?
Don't say synergy.
So,
Winergy.
God, that rhymed.
So, sensing that maybe he should shift lanes, Liang explains that they can prevail, and he explains why. And it comes down to logistics and experience, right? So keep in mind, the area we're talking about here, basically it's the size of the U.S. Imagine you're an invading general, it's 208 BC, your base of power is in Chicago, and you're trying to do military operations in New Orleans. Okay, that's a hell of a supply line. As Liang is supposed to have famously quipped, Even the most powerful arrow shot from the most powerful bow by the most powerful archer can't pierce a single layer of silk at the end of its flight.
Okay,
That's
Zhuge Liang.
wrong.
Zhuge Liang, here's the thing, man. All arrows that do damage do that at the end of their flight. Okay?
They don't run out of energy and bob harmlessly through the air.
But they do that, though.
Don't ally with the guy who used that metaphor. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, do you ever play frisbee golf? No. Okay. Do you ever do pocket sand? You know what I mean?
Yeah, very obscure fun fact here, but arrows have, and I'll give you all a minute to get a pen and paper, sharp tips.
Right, but they're
Very
not moving at
sharp.
the end of the flight.
It's still a confusing man. Then it's just on the ground.
No one's trying to defend this guy.
Yeah.
It's
It's not
awesome.
like when you try to throw a playing card and it starts fluttering all of a sudden. I feel like it's not like that though.
We are all being purposefully obtuse for this, too.
I
It's like,
disagree.
no.
I think he's being obtuse with his metaphor. I bet someone
Don't
did
say
this.
single layer of silk if you're a liar.
Stopped in my heart,
Oh.
but not
Airplane
that
can't run you
layer of
over
silk.
after it stopped. It's like, well, that's not about its potentiality. Fuck you, Lee Gay.
Christ.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, but if you put a pole with a
point is that
magnet that would
arrow
drag
had
it
already-
further by
But
its
that's
own
not-
self, it would
That's
keep
not. Now you're
going.
moving it a second time. That you could
Perpetual
stab
motion.
somebody with one. All right. So, but supply. So we'll set this one aside. We'll move on to the different problem that he had. So there are two other.
This is the
crucial-
Mandela effect all over again.
So there are two other crucial advantages on Liu Bei's side. The first is that, like New Orleans, the area they're trying to fight in is marshy as all hell, and it's not a terrain that Cao Cao's men would be used to fighting on. What's more, Cao Cao has no real experience in river warfare. Now, he does have a navy, and a damn good one at that. It's the one that he seized when he took over the dead warlords area around the eastern Yangtze, but he didn't really know how to use it yet. And all of those advantages, combined with the fact that Sun Quan had seen what Cao Cao did to his allies after he was done with them, that was enough to sway Sun Quan into joining Liu Bei. And apparently he took it out on the fucking furniture. There's a famous story about this where his advisors kept pushing him to surrender to Cao Cao. So he chopped the corner off of his desk and he yelled, "Anyone who dares argue for surrender will be the same as this desk."
Right. And his employees were like, sorry, boss, I don't understand. Like, you obviously mean violence, but humans don't have corners, so...
I think he means dicks, maybe?
Yeah. Do you mean
Does
you're
it
going
mean
to cut
dicks?
off our dicks?
Okay, you know what? Let's do a timeout on metaphors. Just talk normal. What are you talking
The
about? What, are you
sword's
gonna
not
chop?
moving
What are you
now.
chopping?
Am I supposed to be not afraid anymore? What's
If you cut off my dick, can I be one of your 10 advisors?
So, all right. So
The thing with the arrows was crazy earlier. That didn't make any sense either.
One of your 12 advisors.
Just say what you mean.
now, estimates of Cao Cao's forces at this point vary wildly. According to the emissary he sent to secure Sun Quan's surrender, he was marching at the head of 800,000 men. That's not correct. A more realistic number puts it around 250,000. And that number actually may include non-combatants like cooks and shit. It might not. Regardless, even the combined forces of Liu Bei and Sun Quan were wildly outnumbered. At most,
He's like Donald Trump trying to get bail.
So at most, Liu Bei had 50,000 men at his disposal, but crucially, all the men he had were trained and experienced Marines. The only Marines that Cao Cao had were the ones he recently inherited and couldn't trust their loyalty.
Yeah, we have the same problem with U.S. Marines on Discord these days. It's
Yeah, really.
Oof.
So once Liu Bei has his makeshift army, he has to supply them. And there's this one story that it is definitely apocryphal. It doesn't even show up in the histories until like 200 years after this happens. But it's one of my favorite stories in all of ancient history, so I have to include it. So the legend is that the army doesn't have enough arrows. So Zhuge Liang says, "Give me 20 ships and 500 bales of hay, and I will return in 3 days' time with 100,000 arrows." And Liu Bei's like, "Sure you don't need money or fucking feathers or anything?" And he's like, "Nope, just boats and straw."
Liu Bei's like, he's totally going to bail. He's going to 100% bail.
He comes back with 30 janky ass arrows just full of duct tape. Like all of me and Cecil's toys when we were kids. No good. And he's just like, no, I'm just fucking with you. I got a plan. Don't worry about it. Noah's going to explain my plan in a second.
Just a whole forest full of newly naked porcupines. Just like, fuck you guys. We didn't even have a side in this.
But they set off down the river towards where Cao Cao's men are camped, and they wait for it to get foggy. And then Zhuge takes his 20 boats out near the encampment, and he has all his guys start beating war drums. Now, Cao Cao knows better than to pursue this mysterious force into foggy waters in enemy territory. So instead of sending out his ships, he turns the archers loose at him, fires 100,000 arrows directly into the hay bales that Zhuge has scattered all over the decks of the ship.
So good. Synergy
So,
right there.
right? Yeah. So they go back and forth a few times. They yell out, "Thanks for the arrows." Possibly synergy is winergy. I don't know. That didn't make it into the historical record. And then they head back to camp.
Look out in the crow's nest is just a human pincushion. Really wish someone had told me the plan.
No, it's cool. You nailed it, buddy. You nailed it.
Yeah.
So many arrows.
So Liu Bei has his army. He has his navy. He has his arrows. And what does Cao Cao and his forces have? Fucking disease, because they're the ones in unfamiliar territory and unfamiliar marshy territory, which is replete with its own set of malarial infections, he said with a sore throat from the midst of America's largest blackwater swamp. And also,
Where most people took hydroxychloroquine.
yeah, right. And also, compounding this problem, none of the men he trusts are really all that comfortable on boats. They aren't really adept at rowing, which is, something of a team sport. Also, they get seasick if they have to spend significant time on the water.
Okay, wait. One of his generals, Zihao Dun, had an eye patch. Are you sure these weren't oath keepers, Noah?
Was it self-inflicted?
Yeah, right.
It'd be awesome if he carved his
wanna
own
see
eye with a
that guy
scimitar. That's
shooting
fucking
himself
amazing.
in the face with an arrow somehow.
Yeah, drops his.
It was an
Drops
arrow,
his
though. It wasn't
crossbow.
his, but-
Should have put one
It's an
layer of
arrow.
silk over your eyeball, idiot.
All right. So, in hopes of combating the seasickness problem, Cao Cao hit on the brilliant idea of lashing all his boats together and then lashing that whole mast to the shore.
What?
I have no idea why that would improve seasickness, but apparently it did. It did help. But it made the ships pretty much impossible to maneuver, which
Not
Yeah, being
ships.
lashed
right,
to
yeah,
the
defeats
shore.
the, yeah,
Makes you a dock.
right. They're a pier. Yeah, exactly. Defeats the purpose of having ships at all. And it also meant that if one of the ships was to catch fire, the whole fucking fleet would catch fire.
But don't worry, because we'll put this long line of gunpowder along the whole boat to the exit so nobody gets lost.
Yeah. Yes. So Liu Bei orders one of his divisional commanders to feign surrender and take a squadron of ships to the line under the guise of switching allegiance. Now, the right thing to do at this point, according to the Encyclopedia of Military Tactics that Cao Cao himself had written, would be to agree to meet this divisional commander at a neutral location where he could surrender his ships in case, this was all a ruse and they were actually filled stem to stern with tinder. But for some fucking reason, Cao Cao was like, yeah, man, go ahead and join my side. Why don't you start by sailing your ships directly at mine at full speed?
No, cool. Yeah, we're gonna come in all like fast and then drift in. It's gonna look super cool. Let's do that.
Well, so as
Okay,
they
but the actual move would be to do the opposite of the thing that you wrote in your book because that would trick them, though,
well,
right?
that's what he did. So
How'd that go?
yeah, not great. It went citation neededly, actually.
Got it.
So, all right. So, as these ships approached, Cao Cao did realize his mistake, and possibly even before they set those boats on fire. But his ships were all lashed together. So, what the fuck was he going to do about it? The fire ship crashes into his navy, and pretty soon the whole damn thing is ablaze. Now, he's still got an army, right? A huge army. It's on land. It's fine. And even with the near total loss of his navy, he could probably still beat his enemy in a ground engagement if his army wasn't diseased and demoralized from marching all the fucking way from Chicago to New Orleans on foot.
I'm sorry, but I feel like I missed something. Was the fire invisible? Like, how did they not notice that from at least a pretty good distance away? Like, did they think the fire might also surrender to join their side? Or
Could be, yeah.
Just
Could be.
very confused.
When we drift in, we're gonna do a fire thing. Don't worry about it. It's just part. It's part of the whole. Like,
Somebody
fire
will be
thing.
playing a guitar, standing up front, and it'll be really awesome.
It's like how he explained to his soldiers, when a fire is out, it has not the energy to burn even a single wick of a candle.
We put one layer of silk over
Yeah.
it. It's fine.
Yes.
Can't see it.
So,
Hate him.
with the boats burning in the background, Cao Cao's army scatters. And again, they're in a marshy area, so you generally can't scatter very quickly. Cao Cao did manage to scrape together enough of the people to cover his retreat, but he suffered heavy losses on the ground and even heavier losses on the river. In one of history's most lopsided victories, Liu Bei turned back Cao Cao's forces and ended his ambition of reunifying China altogether. He would never come south again. In fact, in a PR movement to retain what clout he could in the north, he started circulating an official story where he decided his men were too sick to fight, so he set fire to his own navy and he just left in an organized retreat. Yeah, this is known in military circles as the "fine, I wanted to go to my room anyway" defense.
Please tell me there's a bunch of Chinese hicks with Chow Chow flags on their trucks talking about their heritage these days.
Yeah, Eli, they're led by the Daughters of Liberty. Liberty.
Liberty.
Nice.
All right, so in reality, the retreat was anything but organized. They had to retreat through marshland, and they were plagued by heavy rains for the first couple days. In one particularly chilling detail, they had a bunch of the sick soldiers. They gave them the job of carrying big bundles of grass to fill in the marshy spots so that the horses could walk over them and not get stuck like that fucking the horse in Neverending Story. So hundreds of those guys.
Artax?
Yeah, right.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to bring up Artax right now?
But like people got Artaxed here. Like hundreds of those guys drowned in the mud and/or were trampled to death in this effort. In fact, Liu Bei's forces might have eliminated Cao Cao's army altogether, except his guys in Sun Quan started fighting over the limited number of ferries across the river, so they couldn't muster a large enough force in time.
Dude, share the control. You're ruining this speed run right now.
Oh man, we can't go any faster until we figure out which one goes first: the chicken, the fox, or the grain. What?
So the battle, so much as that it can even be called a battle, was named for the most prominent geographical feature in the area where Cao Cao's navy burned, the red cliffs that he was encamped under. And apparently today there's actually quite a bit of debate as to precisely where those titular cliffs are.
Titular.
And at least two of the claimants
Titular.
had painted real and at least two of the claimants had painted real big "The Battle of the Red Cliffs definitely happened here" signs up at their claimed locations, as though that's going to tip the balance amongst historians.
Just a plaque and one of Eli's shitty friends selling magic thumbs right now.
Yeah, right.
They're made locally.
Jesus Christ.
This would go down as one of the most important battles in Chinese history. It would usher in what's known as the Three Kingdoms era, and the lines of those kingdoms were essentially drawn that day, with Cao Cao, Sun Quan, and Liu Bei's regions defining those borders that would persist for nearly a century. The battle would be immortalized in the 14th century novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is considered one of the greatest works in the history of Chinese literature. It would also be immortalized in a really expensive 4-hour-long John Woo movie with a decidedly less impressive artistic reputation.
All right. If you had to summarize what you learned in one sentence, what would it be?
Some Chinese generals should really stick to fried chicken dishes.
You ready for the quiz?
Wait, what John Woo movie is that?
I don't
Is that
know.
real?
Face Off.
No. Are you ready for the quiz?
I am ready for it.
All right, Noah. What was the theme song for the Southern Generals Army? Lube, Lube. That's it. That's all I got.
There's more to that. There's more to that lyric for sure. You gotta keep.
Louis Louis?
There's a Louis joke. I did it.
Yep, I got it.
You did.
You're done with that part of your work
Okay.
for this week.
All right. Well, what was the theme song for the Northern Generals Army, Noah? Was it A, Yankee Doodle Dandy? It's A. That's it.
You only did
it's
one.
okay,
No, he only did one
But
too.
that was pretty fucking good.
But
though,
it was
'cause
good though. See the difference. The difference is it's good.
It's the North.
A lot of
I'm
layers.
gonna place
Yeah.
an arrow under your pillow and the potential energy. So fucking
Writing only one answer is my thing. God
It's
damn it.
my thing. It's whoever does it first. One person a week gets to be lazy.
Synergy is Winergy.
All right, fine. Well, what was the theme song for Sun Quan's army? A. God damn it. Why did I get stuck writing a pun with Sun Quan is the answer. Let's try B. Carry on, wayward Sun Quan.
Very good.
Solid.
Very
That's
good.
a good
That's a
song.
solid
It's
See?
a good song.
Like that one.
Fortunate Sun Quan.
Also
a
good.
good song.
D.
Also good.
Son Quan of a preacher.
Man.
E. Son of a bitch. Quan.
There's definitely E, son of a bitch, Quan.
Ah, close. It was, God damn it, why did I get stuck writing a pun with Sun Quan?
Yeah.
And Tom wins.
Yay.
Nicely done.
All right, Cecil, you should write.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, for Tom, Eli, Heath, and Noah, I'm Cecil. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, I will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, play Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires. It's really great.
No, it's
great
not.
game. It is a great game. Eli has no idea he plays Depression Quest. And if you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/Depression Quest Citation Pod, or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. If you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out citationpod.com.
And then, General, their archers said, stop copying me. We were completely outfoxed.
There, man. There's nothing you could have done.
Because they copied us first.
I know, soldier. I know.